Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Adventures Audio Podcast. I'm your host, Janelle Orsino, aka Enthusiast Adventurer on YouTube, and today's episode is talking everything airsoft. We're going to get into how I found this sport, why I love it so much, the style of gameplay, the gear that I have, the loadout, from the apparel, the guns, all the toys. But before we get into it, let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Okay, guys, this is the part of the episode that will have sponsors and ads in the future, but for now, we are a self produced podcast, so it's just going to be me filling in this little segment of time here. But like I said, in the future, we're going to collab with some really awesome companies and bring some cool deals to you guys as we grow this podcast further. But for now, let's get back to the episode. So I grew up as a kid loving everything to do with active outside sports. I grew up loving soccer, basketball, and softball. I played them for 11 years, basically all the way from elementary school up through high school. And I loved playing with the kids on my street. Jailbreak was the shit. We played it practically every single day, and we used all different types of props from Nerf guns to Power Ranger like cool toys and swords and just all this really cool awesome stuff. But where I got my start in airsoft and or the competitive nature of, I guess, shooting somebody with a toy weapon and having teams and sides and having one core goal, whether that's like capture the flag style or, protect your territory, it was probably through Nerf, if we're being honest. When I was a kid, my grandmother bought us these little Nerf guns, and they were like little pocket-sized Nerf guns. They shot one dart, they barely fit in the palm of your hand, and they had this little keychain lanyard on them. But I just remember me and my brother running around the house and constantly shooting each other, shooting my mom, my dad, my grandparents, anybody who walked in the door, hiding behind corners and under the couch. And just remember just having so much fun doing that as a kid. As I got older, obviously bumped up the gear to like a six-shooter pistol, and at some point I had a 32 round pump action shotgun. That was a Nerf gun that I was obsessed with. And we would play with my family and with my friends on the street that I grew up on. We had like 13 of us. We would have Nerf battles. And at family functions, we would also bring all of our guns. And then after dinner or before dessert, we would get out there and we would just run around the yard and play with Nerf. And it was honestly a blast. I love it. I love it to this day. I still love playing Nerf, and I want to have an arsenal of Nerf guns and Nerf gear always at the ready. I'm very excited to have kids so that I can play Nerf with my kids. For now, I have about 2 totes worth of Nerf guns, and I actually just got done with my bachelorette weekend where we rented this nice cabin up in the Pocono Mountains, and we had a Nerf battle with me, my fiance, and my bridesmaids and groomsmen. It was so much fun. I love the team aspect of it. I love the competitiveness. I love kind of being a sharpshooter and being a little bit sneaky, but also being edgy and aggressive. It's so much fun. I'm stumbling on my words, but it is so much fun, and I love everything about it. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, so if you love playing Nerf so much, why not play paintball? Paintball is very similar and it's super fun and it's outdoors as well. For some reason, I never really got into paintball. It's not that I'm like a paintball hater. If you go play paintball, like, good for you. That is a higher level of pain tolerance than I want to have to deal with, if we're being honest. And it's just a little bit too messy for me. I mean, I have no problem running around in the mud and jumping in the water and getting dirty. I have no issues with that whatsoever. But I don't know, it doesn't vibe with me the same way that airsoft does. If you are wondering what airsoft is and you've never actually heard of it, or maybe you just have that concept of, oh, it's this little spring pistol that you get that's like 20 or 30 bucks from a sporting goods store, and you shoot these little plastic targets or targets made out of cardboard, you are widely mistaken. Airsoft has turned into this mega sport. There are so many people out there that are doing it full time as a career, making a living off of it. The gear that is being produced and being pushed out to consumers is absolutely incredible. The advancements that people have made through the years. You've got full metal guns, you've got high quality, plastic guns. You've got your spring guns, you've got your electric guns, and you've got your CO2. And all of these guns are modeled after real life rifles. You've got your AK-47s, your MP5Ks, your 1911s, your Glocks, your M16s, your G36. You've got guns that are based off of really cool games like Halo, and there's certain sci-fi guns that you can find, and there's the Raptor, and there's really an endless possibility to the amount of gear or the type of equipment that you buy. You can customize your gear or your loadout to be anything you want it to be. You've got gameplays that range from CQB indoor, CQB outdoor. You've got hybrid indoor outdoor fields. You've got outdoor fields that are woodland that have some buildings. You have just completely woodland fields. You've got things like Lion's Claws and super major huge events. You've got people that commit to playing one style. Oh my god. You've got people that commit fully to being, a sniper and super stealth and having all that equipment. You have other people that want to be super fast and super slick and play CQB and play Speedsoft, which is like the fastest, craziest, most intense close quarters airsoft that I've ever seen. It goes on and on and on. But before I get ahead of myself, let me back up a little bit more. I went from playing Nerf with my friends and my family to playing airsoft with my friends and my family. And the first time that I went out to play airsoft, I was terrified. I mentioned it in my first episode. I was wearing a full face paintball mask, and I was also wearing a fully padded catcher's chest pad. I looked absolutely ridiculous. I had gloves, I had like extra layers of clothes. I looked so stupid, and the guns that we were using at the time didn't even hurt. They barely made a mark. Now, I'm not undermining safety by any means. I believe that we should all be safe in the field or the game that we are playing. So always wear eye protection, hand protection, always have like a first aid kit. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I looked silly. But once we started moving up from those cheap spring and electric, $50 and $60 guns from your sporting goods store, and we went to, the $120 e-bike electric guns, there was no going back. And I don't know if you're like me, I will research the crap out of products, I will watch reviews, I will do a full deep dive into any and all gear that I'm looking to use. And at the time, my brother was looking at a G&G M16 or M14. That was the gun that he wanted. That was the first gun he wanted that he asked for, but I was fully obsessed with the AK-47. I just love a rebel aggressive gameplay style, look and feel. I just want to be like a super badass out there. And at like 17 or 16 years old, I begged my parents for an AK-47 airsoft gun for Christmas. I had researched it. I had watched so many videos on so many different guns and what I wanted. I ended up going with the D-Boys AK-47. That's what I asked for Christmas. I wanted metal magazines, so it looked real and it looked super cool. And I wanted this big Molly vest and plate carrier and all this other stuff. And I remember my parents being like, "Are you sure?" I mean, I was never a girly girl growing up. They knew this. They knew that we played airsoft with my cousins. They knew my cousins had better guns than us. And they knew that we were playing on a regular basis. And of course, we woke up one Christmas morning and I heard my brother load his magazine and load that first pellet. And I woke up and I looked down at my feet, and on the floor was my AK-47. And I remember grabbing my gun and running into his room and be like, "Dude, this is awesome!" And we couldn't wait to like show my cousins what we got. Oh my God, it's so exciting. I mean, on top of the fact that it was a Christmas morning and you're getting more presents, but you're getting like the main one that you've been like looking at and researching for like 6 to 8 months and you're, like, super obsessed about, and, like, as a kid, not knowing if you're gonna get it, if you're not gonna get it, knowing that you don't have the money to get it, and hoping and praying that, quote, unquote, "Santa" or your parents is gonna get that for you. Oh my god, that adrenaline rush as a kid, it's, like, magical. We all know and love those core memories that we had as a kid. This was 100% one of those really awesome memories for me. But as I got on the field and as I played my first game with that gun, I couldn't hold it for very long. The gun was just too heavy for me to hold the whole game, and I wound up using it for like 2 games, and then for the next, I think, 3 games, I wound up using my cousin's old M4, and I remember being super bummed out because I loved the look of my AK-47. I love the range of my AK-47. I love the way it felt. I just loved everything about it. I hated how heavy it was. It was a super heavy gun, and that super really sucked. And I played with it for a couple of games, a year or so, and I remember just being like, this gun isn't it for me. This gun, I can't play the way that I want to play. I can't compete with my cousins or be as active or aggressive. It's just the longevity of it just wears me out too much. I was younger, I wasn't as in shape as I am now, and it wasn't working for me. So basically, I saved up and found this airsoft store that was like 2 hours from my house. And one day my brother and I are just like, you know what, let's go and let's go see what they have. And I was like, you know what, I want to buy a new gun. And this gun has been my favorite gun of all time. I bought this H&K MP5K. It's this amazing little badass looking all black CQB style gun. I bought like 4 magazines for it, got the sling. The gun itself was only $99, and then, the magazines are about 15 each, but that has been my main gun and the gun that I have run for like the last probably 5 years. I've never had to do anything to it. Just make sure that my hop up is dialed in the right way so that my BBs are flying straight. I've thrown that thing around in the dirt, in the snow, in the rain. It has handled all of the beatings that I have put it through, and it is my favorite gun. It might look small, it might look like it's this tiny little thing, but it can handle its own, and I absolutely am obsessed with it. I still have the AK-47, and I let people use it. I use it as like a loaner gun for anybody that wants to join our games that has never played before and doesn't have equipment. Or I bring it as a backup gun so that if anybody's gun gets jammed or breaks or the battery dies or has an issue, whatever the case may be, we always have that gun as a backup so that it's charged and ready to go if anybody wants to use it. And I've pulled it out myself a few times and used it just to remember what it feels like. I am a bit stronger now, so I can handle the heavier gun. I love the way it feels and looks, especially as like an intimidation factor. It just looks badass and a little scary to opponents. But it's just too big and too long for the style of airsoft that I like to play, because that style is like, let's go, bring on the battle, aggressive badassery airsoft. I don't like sitting and waiting for the enemy to come to me. I like bringing the party to the enemy. I don't like sitting around. It's not my style, It doesn't work well with my ADHD brain. It doesn't make any sense. I'm aggressive. I like to move fast. I like to make big, bold moves. I like to take far shots and shots that might seem impossible. And I just like to make shit happen on the field. I have been that way my entire life. I still play that way now as an athlete who plays softball and flag football. Our football team doesn't have 3 back-to-back championships because we sit around and wait for the other team to do something. We bring the game to them. It's the same thing for me when I'm on the softball field. I don't like sitting around and waiting for somebody else to make a play. I want every ball that's hit to be hit my way so that I can do the best and provide for my team and get the outcome, make the outs, make the plays, get up to bat and rip that ball, get a double, steal some bases, make sure I'm scoring as much as possible. I don't like being lazy about things. I don't like, sitting back and waiting for it. I don't like being passive aggressive, okay? I am an aggressive athlete all around, and that is the style of airsoft that I also play. So, when some people start off in airsoft, really you just need the basic things. You need your gun, you're going to need a battery to power that gun, or CO2 if you go with the CO2 gun. If you buy a spring gun, that thing is ready to go at all times. You're gonna need a magazine and you're gonna need your BBs, as well as some sort of eye protection. Once you have all of those things, you are ready to go and get out on the field and play the game of airsoft. And as the years have gone on and I have grown as an airsofter, I have accumulated some gear and I've made my loadout as fine tuned to my style as possible. When you're starting out in this sport, you do not have to buy expensive equipment. So let's talk about the apparel that I wear when I'm playing airsoft and the different times of year that I'm playing, the color combinations, and all of those good things. So, where I play airsoft is actually in a woodland setting. I do not play CQB games. I've never gone to a CQB facility inside a building. I play outdoors, outside, in the elements. So that affects the clothes that I wear and the color combinations that I use. I prefer woodland colors because I'm playing in a woodland setting, and those greens, browns, tans blend in the best with my surroundings, and they allow me to be as stealthy that I want to be while I'm kind of doing my stalk and sneak around situation. And then when I'm ready to like strike, boom, I pop out of practically nowhere and the enemy is caught by surprise. So in the spring, summer, and fall, I'm sticking with those natural colors, those browns, those tans, those greens, like I said. And you don't have to go super expensive or fancy with your gear. Walmart is honestly like your best friend when you're starting off, or an inexpensive store like Ross or Marshall's, even Goodwill, guys. A lot of times I find old BDUs and camo clothing at Goodwill's for like $5 or less. So don't think that you have to go spend all this money on this high tech equipment. You can buy $15 used boots from Goodwill and a $5 camo shirt and some pants, and you'll be good to go. My favorite pair of boots that I actually used for airsoft was a $30 pair of work boots from Walmart. I used those for like 2 years. Every single day, I worked in them and I played airsoft in them, and they were my favorite boots of all time. If they ever got worn out or the water was starting to seep in, I would just take some leather wax, reapply it to the outside, and they were like brand new, good to go. Now, a lot of people are going to look at me and think, why do you wear steel toe boots when you play airsoft? Aren't they heavy and clunky? Honestly, no, they're not. I don't buy heavy boots. I try to find as light of a boot as possible that also has a steel toe because I'm running around rocks, trees, stumps, logs. I'm in the elements and all that crap that's in the woods that sometimes you don't see. And I don't want to smash my toe and break it on any of those items. So I like a steel toe boot. Gives me more security. I can knock that thing on anything and I'm not going to break a toe or get injured. I don't play with sneakers because, again, I play outdoors and ticks are a very real thing for me. So I always wear long johns and protective layers, socks over my long johns. I spray everything down with that Sawyer tick repellent, and I always check myself after the games to make sure that there are no ticks on me. One time I had four on me after a day of playing airsoft. So tick and bug protection for me is definitely up there as one of my main priorities. I also prefer to run cargo pants when I'm playing airsoft. I started off with just a tan pair that I got for like 15 bucks at Walmart. I've moved up since then to Wrangler cargo pants. Again, they're not expensive. They're like $25. They stretch very well. They've got a good solid rugged material. They also have a high level of breathability so that air is constantly flowing, and they also wick up sweat. So it's an all-in-one package deal, and I'll usually run them in like a brown, tan, and OD green. I also like to run some sort of camo or dark long sleeve shirt when I'm playing. It's another protective layer from ticks, and it also does well to camouflage myself in my surroundings. And I know that I said that I have an aggressive gameplay style, which I do, but there are times when I want to be stealth and survey the area before I actually make a move. So making sure that I'm camoed out is a very high priority as well. I went online and I found this like $12 camo long sleeve shirt from Rothco. It's a cotton shirt. It works well and it doesn't really get stuck in thorns too much when I'm running around in the woods. It's been my favorite shirt that I've used so far. I haven't really gone with anything thicker or more expensive. This one works just as well as the other ones do for me. It was super affordable. It comes in a lot of different color patterns, which I will stock up on in the future, and it's easily replaceable. I didn't, break the bank buying this shirt. It was only $12, and if I need another one, I can just go grab one from the store or order it online, and it'll be here in a couple days. I also like to run some sort of glove on my hand just to protect my hands, my fingers, and my knuckles. And I just cut the tip of my trigger finger off. That way I have more sensitivity in that finger for when I'm shooting. That seems to work best for me. And I also run a Valken paintball full face mask when I'm playing Airsoft. Some people prefer to wear goggles or a half mesh face mask and shooting glasses, but for me, I have to have my face fully covered because I've seen too many things happen and I just want to make sure that that is protected. I've seen people get shot in the mouth, I've seen teeth break, I've seen BBs get lodged in somebody's ear canal, and that completely stopped our game. People getting shot in the eye. So it's not that you're intentionally doing those things, but they do happen. And I just like to be prepared and have that fully protected and covered. This mask vents very well. It doesn't muffle my sound too much when I'm trying to communicate with my other players or teammates. And it was like $40. So it was in my price range. And so far, it's done great, and I have no complaints. That is my spring, summer, and fall loadout. If we are playing in the winter setting where there's snow, I basically go head to toe in white. There are times that I have run my camo in the winter time when it's just cold but not so much snow, when everything is just dark toned. That combination works very well, but when there is snow on the ground, I pull out my white gear head to toe and I blend in with everything. It is really cool and super awesome. I'm actually going to make a video on how I made that gear in an up and coming video, so if you want to check that out on the Enthusiast Adventurer YouTube channel, you totally can. Moving on from clothing and apparel, let's talk about my chest rig and my molly setup on my person. And I run the MP5K from H&K, and I run 5 magazines total, one in the gun, and then 4 spares on my chest plate, as well as a dump pouch on my belt and a 1911 on my waist. So I bought a Condor chest rig. It is super slim, very light and compact, and it is like your bare bones setup for playing airsoft. But it works perfectly for me because I don't like super elaborate gear. I don't need a full Molly chest plate carrier system or a full vest. I used to have this big Molly vest, and it was just too heavy, and it really messed with my mobility, and it constricted the way that I played, and I didn't like that. So I wound up getting rid of that and moving on to this very slim Condor chest harness. It's a Molly harness. It's OD green, and it's really just big enough to hold my 4 spare magazines and my rubber dagger. I believe I paid like $25 for it at the time. I've got one in OD green. I do want to get one in black so that I can put that towards my winter loadout and do some fun, cool spray paint with that. The one that I have right now is in OD green, and all of the pouches and attachments for that are also in OD green. I run the chest harness pretty high up on my chest. I run it nice and tight to my torso so that it is on there and it is not moving. It's super secure. I run 4 spare magazines for my MP5K, and I keep one in the gun. So I run 5 magazines total, and I believe each of them holds 250 BBs, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that, but I believe it's 250 high cap magazines. So I've got 250 BBs times 5 with me and ready to go at all times. I also run this little rubber dagger that I got when I was a kid. I've had it forever. I run that on my chest carrier as well. I run that on the chest plate, and I use that for melee kills. Believe it or not, even though we're playing in a big, wide open space, I have gotten a melee kill with my dagger, and it was epic. That's a story for another time, but I always keep that with me, and eventually I would like to have some sort of like foam axe or sword on my back because I just love being stealth enough to run around with a pistol and a dagger and get some really awesome kills. On my left side of that harness, just kind of down on my waist, I keep my olive green dump pouch. So when I run out of BBs in one magazine, take that one out, throw it in the dump pouch, grab another one off my chest plate, put that one in the gun, and I'm ready to go. I can run around with that setup and I've never had any fallout. As long as you buy the right type of dump pouch, you're not going to have any fallout or lose them on the field. Before I cut costs and I bought like a $10 dump pouch online and it was crap. I lost two magazines in the first game. Luckily, it was on our piece of property and I knew where I was when I lost them, so I was able to retrack my steps and find them. But just make sure you buy the right dump pouch. That way, you can drop your magazines in there quickly and it's cinched up just to the right amount so that those mags don't fall out when you're running or moving around. On the right side of my belt strap, I keep a small butane Zippo lighter in a bright blue color. Some of you might be wondering, why the heck do you have a Zippo lighter on your rig? And that's because when we play Capture the Flag in certain style games, we use firecrackers as a way to let the other team know that we won. So our Capture the Flag is a flag tied to a like can that has firecrackers in it. It's just this small little set of like little rattling, pop, 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 pop. And basically, your goal is to get that, take it to the enemy's quarters, and quote unquote, blow up the enemy's base, or, get it from the enemy's base and bring it back to yours. And we set them off as a way to, win the game. So I like to have a good butane lighter in a very bright color that is not natural to the surroundings. So it's a nice bright blue. And whenever you look down and you're looking through like all the yellows and tans and greens, that bright blue sticks out very well. Also, Zippo just makes a really awesome product, and I actually collect Zippo lighters, so of course I had to have one in my airsoft arsenal. As far as other equipment goes, I keep a pouch with a multi-tool on my belt at all times. That way, if I need to do any repairs or mess around with any of the guns. If something happens, I have the ability to do that. And I also keep a roll of electrical tape in one of my cargo pockets because, believe it or not, it is a huge lifesaver when you're out there. I had a piece of my gun break off the top that was holding my battery in place for when I was playing, and the piece that was meant to hold that battery down broke off my gun and I couldn't use it. Luckily, I had electrical tape, so I put that piece back on there and wrapped it with tape. The gun was fine, everything was sealed, and I was able to keep playing and it didn't ruin my whole day of airsofting. The last thing that I have on my person is actually a modular setup. It is my sidearm, and I run the Elite Force 1911 in a tan and black color pattern. I got that thing off of eBay. It runs off of CO2 little cartridges. Sometimes it's a little bit too heavy and a little big, so I just take it off. It's on a quick release tactical belt holster. It sits on my right side. I've got a leg strap for it. I'm able to move around with it very well, and I use it a lot. And I have played games where I straight up just play with that pistol. I love it so much. I love the look of a 1911. I love the feel with it. It is full metal. It's got a nice blowback kick to it, and it's very realistic. Moving on to my primary, like I said, I've got my MP5K on a tactical 1-point sling that goes over my shoulder, and it is there ready to go with my gun at the ready. I do have a tracer unit, so sometimes when we're playing and it's cloudy and the woods are a little bit darker, I'll throw my tracer unit on the tip of my gun with my glow in the dark BBs. And when those things shoot out of my gun, they glow like neon green and they just and it's just like a line of BBs coming at your head. It's super cool to see, to be honest. And that's my full loadout. It's very simple. It's bare bones, in my opinion, but it's a fully customized loadout to me and the way that I play. If I ever go to like a CQB style or a CQB game, I might tweak some things here and there, but for me, that system works very well. And I'm just going to run off the prices for you guys, just so you guys kind of have an idea of what I paid for all of this gear. It might be a little bit different now with inflation and everything changing, but I'll give you the numbers here and now for what I paid for all of my gear. Boots. So my boots were $30. My pants were $25. My shirt is $12. My gloves were $20. And the paintball mask itself is $30. Moving on to my guns. My MP5K was $99.95 plus tax. I paid $45 for the Elite Force 1911 pistol used. I got 2 regular magazines and 1 extended mag, as well as the Kydex tactical hip holster, and I got it for $45, which was a steal at the time. I have 5 magazines for my MP5. The original one that it came with is this teeny tiny little thing that shoots like 100 BBs. That was free, and then for the other 4, I believe I paid $12.95 plus tax for 4 high cap MP5 mags that hold 250 BBs each. The sling that I got from my MP5 was $15. The tracer, which you don't have to have, was another $40, plus the glow in the dark BBs you can get for like $20 for a bag. The regular BBs that I use for my gun are biodegradable M-Tech bags that you get on Amazon or online. I buy 2 big bags. I believe it's like $30 for 10,000 or 20,000 BBs. The battery for my gun is a lithium battery. It was $20. If you buy the regular batteries, the non-lithium ones are 15, so there's a $4 difference there. And the charger for my gun was a $30 high-speed charger that I got online. Moving on to my sidearm, aka my 1911. Moving on to the sidearm, this gun runs off of CO2 cartridges. You can buy a 4-pack of them for like $6, or I like to buy the bigger pack for like $12. They are not reusable, so I probably go through 6 cartridges in a day of playing Airsoft, and that'll run me probably 6 to 8 Airsoft games. So that's enough for 1 round and then another refill for all of those mags as my sidearms. The chest harness that I bought at the time was $25. The 3-pouch mag holder was $15. The dump pouch was $15. And the little Zippo holder was $3. The Zippo itself, I believe I paid $20 for, and it had the butane insert. And then to buy an extra spare thing of butane, is like $5 to $10 depending on the size that you buy and where you get it from. The gloves that I wear are padded gloves, and they will range from anywhere to $20 and $30 depending on the brand that I buy. I used to always buy the mechanic ones, but I have moved on since to some other brands, but $20 to $30 will usually get you a good pair of padded airsoft gloves. I've never added any optics to my gun like a red dot sight or anything like that. I just run the original sights, so there's no added cost there. If you were looking into something like that, you're looking to $30 to $50 for your added sights. The bag that I keep everything in is an old laptop backpack from when I was in high school, and it holds everything that I need in there. The stock of my gun actually folds up and drops down into the back of it. Then I have my chest rig in the middle pouch, and all of my mags, and my pistol, and my BBs. Everything fits perfectly in that bag. But if you wanted to get some sort of rifle bag, whether that's a duffel or just a regular Molly style rifle case that has pockets, they can run you from $30 to $60. It all depends on the size of gun that you have and the amount of equipment. Like I said, you could go to Goodwill or you could go to like a Marshall's or a Ross, and you can find some pretty decent bags, clothes, and equipment there. They always have Molly equipment. I've seen a lot of camo gear there. You'd be surprised with what you can find at a discounted rate. And I have no shame using secondary gear. I actually got a pair of multi-cam mechanic style gloves at a Goodwill for like $3.29 or something like that. So I didn't pay $25 for them. It was an incredible steal, and I think they were used maybe once. The mask that I run is a Valken woodland camo paintball mask. It is a full face mask. It covers my face, my ears, my mouth, my eyes, all of that. It's got a really, really good double insulated lens on it so that it breathes very well. It doesn't fog up. Trust me, I've played in all different weather conditions, and I have never had an issue with fogging with this helmet. It was $32 when I purchased it, and if you do buy it, just make sure you take off both of the protective films on the lens. So the front of the goggle part has a film on it, and the inside has a yellow film on it, just to protect that from scratching during the shipping process. So make sure you remove that before you get out on the field and play. I have played airsoft with a full mesh face mask as well. I don't like them so much because it's kind of blurry when you're playing, and you do risk having BBs kind of shatter in your face because it's just a full face wire mask. I think I paid $30 for it. It was another Condor product, and it worked well. I had to wear a beanie with it because there's no padding on the upper head part. But for the summertime, it was probably the most breathable mask you're going to find. And obviously, there's no fogging on it because it is just full mesh. There's no glass, there's no lens on it. But it does take a minute to kind of adjust to the blurriness because you're looking through basically a wire net at all times. The little rubber knife that I got was a gift from when I was a kid, but if you do go online and buy them, they're like $10 and it fits perfectly in the little molly webbing of my chest plate, just slides right down in those little slots, and it's always there ready to go, quick deployment, and I love it so damn much. I also recently just got this foam melee sword. It's like this ninja style sword. I got it from Dollar General. It is just a foam, like, I think it's like 26-inch, like, ninja sword for like kids to play with, but it's really sturdy and it's got a solid insert on the inside. So I'm going to actually start using that as a melee weapon. I paid $5 for it. I might actually go back and get a backup because you never know if and when they're going to, discontinue or stop selling it. But again, $5 for a little foam sword that I can use to kill people kind of silently and stealthily. Now that is everything. That is all the equipment that I run. That is everything that I own. If you're looking into the AK-47, I believe it was $150 or $180 back when my parents got it, and each magazine was again like $15 to $20, but you're getting like a 500 and a 700 round high cap magazine to change in and out. And if you're wearing cargo pants, you can kind of just stick one of them in your pocket and you're good to go. And the battery is the exact same as my MP5. So $15 to $20 for those batteries, and I can use them on either gun. Works out perfectly well for me. Not all guns use the same style of battery, but for me, my AK and my MP5 use the same battery style. A few more things. Tips for you guys. Make sure you always have a first aid kit on you. It might sound stupid, but safety is not stupid. It's very important. Just have something that maybe fits in the pocket of your bag or your cargo pocket. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be a little boo-boo kit, but it will go a long way. If you're playing outdoors, take things into consideration like bee stings, mosquitoes, ticks, possibly snakes. Know your environment and know the animals that you're dealing with, as well as your surroundings. I play in an area that has a lot of thorns, so I have run through a thorn bush or two, and I have acquired some cuts from that. Also, and if you get shot with a BB from a certain distance, it might break the skin and you could be bleeding or you could fall and get hurt, whatever. Whatever the case is, just make sure you have a first aid kit with you. Make sure you have plenty of water with you and always have a snack, whether that's like a protein bar, some beef jerky, crackers, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Just make sure you have something to help fuel your body, whether you take like a lunch break or right after you're done. Make sure you have something to eat because it's never smart to run on empty. And lastly, make sure that you're wearing eye protection. Trust me, you do not want to get shot in the eye with a BB flying a couple hundred feet per second. It is not fun, it hurts, and it could potentially cause blindness and other serious injuries. You don't want to risk it, so just use eye protection at all times whenever you're playing airsoft. I even use it sometimes when I'm playing Nerf. It might seem small and you might overlook it and think, oh, you don't need it, but trust me, you do not want to get shot in the eye. As long as you have all of that covered, you guys are good to go. And that is my airsoft loadout. That is the gear that I own currently. Yes, I do want to acquire more and more. Like I said before about the Nerf and wanting an arsenal of Nerf equipment, you better believe I also want an arsenal of airsoft gear. And hopefully in the near future, we can add to that arsenal. Maybe a sniper rifle type situation is in order. Who knows? And that right there will sum up today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate all of you guys and everything that you do for me. For now, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next adventure.